What we got here is some of the digits, and it shows that there's some of the digits is 21 and 20, and there's 2120 contact hours in 43 semester hour classes at 53 contact hours per class, and that's the social and how's it play out. If you go backwards, you get the Harvard bachelor's. That's H for 8 and 2 for bachelor's, and then 4 for degree. Or you can get the Harvard doctorate degree, and 82 mod 26 is 4. You get a 4, and 4 gives you DD, doctoral degree. And you can get Cambridge from 64 mod 26. You get 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. You get Cambridge, right? And then you can go down. You see how you get the U2. 2120. 21 is U. 20 is U2. Or 21 is U, and 20 gives you U2, and you separate the 2 and the O to get the U2 author, crypto-analytically. And the P.O. box they had given me is 2124, NRO by the back door, because U2 is an NRO program. U2, and then the D for door, or defense. And then here's the NWFCU card. It shows all the Navy nuclear operations, flag officer stuff. There's a current card. Here it shows the 10, 4, 5, 6, and obviously 45 is the president, and 6 is the somebody is the president's back. If you read it backwards, right? If someone has president's back, you read it backwards, you get Fed. 654, which is like a federal agent who has his back, which is what? The Secret Service. 01. And then it's the NWFCU is the agency, and it says DID, but that's supposed to be DHS. It autocorrects the DID. A lot of times you get these things that are all messed up. When you get a messed up message, sometimes you have to check what the autocorrect does on somebody's computer, phone, whatever, because they're sending you something that was typed correctly, but then it went and auto-corrected it incorrectly. And at CIA, there are people who impersonate foreigners online. They don't look like foreigners, they don't sound like foreigners, they don't type like foreigners, but there's some assistive technology that will make your spelling bad if the people think you're a foreigner who doesn't spell well. So I have some covers and identities online, and I try my hardest to go back and correct them, and some people sit there and fight to make sure I don't. And then it says NBA, and that's actually NGA, and BRO is something else. It's a NRO, the National Reconnaissance, and the National Geospatial 213. But we'll go through this rather quickly. It's just a record of what I put on there. This is everything went to the Secret Service's the field office phone number, which is right there. It's 406-8800, right? And you'll notice that if you take down here, you got that Fed 1A, and the 1 is an agent. They don't make this kind of number mistakes at the agency credit union. There was a CIA credit union. At the time, I cross-referenced the time to the Army Signal Corps, and I worked with an officer who did counterintelligence on him. His name was Tyrone Brackens. He was a warrant officer, Signal Corps 252 warrant officer, MOS. That was when I was Emerson Walsh. I was a CO and a CI investigator. I worked in a psychological operations unit, and we disseminated information to the enemy. And these people work with foreigners, and everybody's is susceptible to some type of charms, and they might have an ugly wife, but there's a hot foreigner who knows how to translate, and sometimes they get interested, and we had to make sure that people like him don't get too interested, and that the kind of information that's broadcast to the enemy, or that is sometimes we could hack a radio or something and do a high frequency transmission straight into a foreign officer's radio, to make sure that it's It's not a, something that's been compromised in some way. And then this is, we were the Marine Force actually at Fort Bragg that did that security. This is information about shipment. And that's all the information I sent them about my position at CIA. And these are numerical justification. You look on the Secret Service contact page, you'll find ciphers that are obvious. I've been featured on the Secret Service page before, and now it's just numbers that are represented, and they have employees that are easily identified, like the director, and they put the Pope on there. He's a fan of some programs that we've created, but there's the card, and you can see where you can get a 6 for the SEAL team, and then you get a 47, and 47 is 4th letter is D and 7th is G, and you get General Counsel on the back. There's other information. It all cross-references pretty well front and back, and with other information. That's my cover. As you know, what a cover at CIA is a cover, right? And that is actually a cover of a magazine that I'm on March 22nd, 63. There's some nebulous information about my birth. There's a cross-reference to the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. is the same as the first 3 digits of my social that you can see here and here. And you can look that up for yourself. If you multiply it out, you'll get 12, 5, and 15. 5 by 5 by 5 is 125, and that's Leo, or law enforcement officer. We just keep on going. There's a Red Cell SOG officer. I told him I was Red Cell. Called him, let him know who I am, give him some information through some tweets and stuff here, or whatever you call them, text messages. And these are just time references to KKK, which is kill, 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 and the 311 is the infantry MOS. And then I put the 0211. I work with 0211s. I was a 210. Now it's a 212, I believe, which is counterintelligence. And the 211 can always equal a 311, which is an infantryman. They're counterintelligence, but every Marine's a rifleman. There's a time reference of 312, and some notes in Korean, some sums. A lot of this is numbers, and I explain a few things later. And this is the alphabet, right? You know that 114 is the first letter, and then if you line them up 1 through 13, it would be 14, 15, 16. Well, 14 will give you all Nippon Air. 215 will give you BO, like Barack Obama, or 21.5 will give you United Emirates, and we all know it's in the Arab area, the Arabian Peninsula, but it's the United Emirates as well. Covert action is 31, and SEAL Team 6, it sounds like a natural kind of thing. It's 4 and 6 is 10, it's a justice, and 16 is P for police, and 3 is C for cop. 417 is don't question, or Dairy Queen, and there's a 4 for arrowheads. This is the times, right? And I had a birth name, Arjuna Delphinus Mescalito, which is ADM initials for Admiral Oppenheimer, and it wasn't a real birth certificate. The real birth certificate controversy had to do with Obama saying he's like going to enslave me and use me for counterintelligence and stuff because he'd been training me. And Trump was not talking about Obama's birth certificate, but he made it an issue for Obama because he wanted me to get paid and didn't want me to be enslaved the way Obama was trying to do that. You can look at my birth certificate and know it's way less legitimate than his. In fact, I was not born, if you look at that magazine, I was not born in 1970, but that's a birth cert, and it's certified on 422, and 22 is big bombs, right? And the magazine was 322 in 1963, and that is I don't know, if you do a date cipher on that date for March 22nd, 1963, you get like the same number of years that that cathedral, from the time it was built to the time they burned it down. And it's A139. That you can get average 100, add 100, you get 200. Crackback, you'll get 1. Crackback for an A, you get 202, right? 202 is the area code for Washington. And 3 is C, and 9 is I, and A is A, right? CIA. You take the birthday up there, right? You can see that birthday, 4/7/1970. You add 18 years to 1988, sum the digits of the social, subtract 41, and you'll get the birthday, which is 4/7. And 4/7/1947 is the CIA birthday, and suspiciously it all cracks around and says CIA as well. That's something the NSA has a copy of. And I haven't been paid in a while. I get an expense account, but anagram of admiral is MAD, which is mutually assured destruction. I think, you know, when you had to explain things to the Russians, that's what we do to them. They understood what an admiral was, and they understood when we anagrammed it like that we could pop it out, and, you know, Khrushchev or somebody to understand what we were talking about. And also know who we were talking about sometimes, because not everybody understood that kind of thing. But this thing, 100 mod 26 out of the A139 gives you big bombs, which are arrowheads. And Arjuna, the name, is a story about an archer who wins a contest and a bride. Somehow he has to share his bride with his brother, his big brother, probably a BB. And then he's banished from his kingdom because he violates the laws of chastity one night and has to go in there. And then his brother's going to cover for him, but and cover's a good keyword. But they banish him from the kingdom, and then he, you know, conquers a bunch of other kingdoms as a good archer. And supposedly, in some stories, they say he had celestial weapons. And when you have to explain things to some people, you have to explain it in context of what they understand. You look up EOD, WMD, look for my picture, and you could learn something. It's some good explanation. There's some other explanations from Sandia that are as good, but they kind of pop that after I pop mine. They spywave a lot of times, trying to pop things out and make it look like that I've like created this stuff from what other people create. They don't create these numbers, but when you go to that Secret Service website, you'll see a lot of that stuff, and people know they sound weird if they do numbers. And some people will do a couple numbers to prove who they are or something, but I can do them all day, and they all point to the same programs. And on Polaris, they show you how you get to Navstar, Navy Sub, Navy SEALs, and you can also go back up, and you'll see that there's a 433 in the driver's license. That's the number of light years to Polaris. And 42, 420, that's the White House. It's 4x2 is 8, so you get the W and the 8. And you can also get 127 is alpha, beta, gamma. That's radiation. That's the kind of officer I was on a submarine. And that was 1963. So if I had scrambled eggs way back then, what do I get now? As far as the astronaut thing here, we're astronauts, we went into space, and A1 is steak sauce, right? So that's SS, which is Astronaut Space Service, right? And we went up there. The purpose of going up there was to investigate. So cloud investigators, they called us, right? We went up there to investigate so that the people who followed on wouldn't blow up on the pad or something. And they called us, you know, we didn't have the right stuff. Everybody else had the right stuff, right? They had all the right stuff, like all the right gear, the big enough capsule, good heat shields, good heater in there when they went deeper into space, and you know, something to cool them down if they went near Mercury or something. Well, we didn't have all that. The A is for Alpha as well, which is a centurion or a captain of 100 men. The numbers add up to 21, which is also blackjack, the first 5 digits of the social. And then these are some numbers from the Northwest card. That's the count, which does an SNS. And 40 is N for nuclear. Navy, S by 2 is S2, and people know that's security in the military, or SS, which is the submarine service. And then you get in the ID, and the driver's license, you get the police out of there. And it's 42 mod 16. And if it's a White House officer and a police, and you get the 5x5x5 and the 15 to get your law enforcement officer. It sounds pretty Secret Service, right? That I'm not a park police, and I don't work up there in the park, and I don't live in a park. And you get the Trident out of there. 433 would give you 43, and 3 is 46, and that'll give you a 20 for a Trident, which is also the last 4 of my social. And you can get the Department of the Navy there. You see that. A2 mod 2604, which is D, Department of Navy, right? And then the other one is 46, which is Trident. 64, turn around, it's 46. You can get 64 mod 26 will give you 12 for lake. 82 will give you the dry for dry lake. You get the same D. And then in the dry lake is Croom Lake. 1 and 2 is 3 is C is Croom. And if you're being groomed for the top, they actually called it Groom Lake, but it was Croom Lake actually. But they just, other people would know it as Groom Lake, and it's easier to identify the people who work there if they know it as Croom, or the people had certain kind of jobs. Yeah, it was a dry lake, but it was Area 51. You look at that social, just go backwards, and you'll see the Dry Lake 51. And there are a bunch of other ways to look at 51s. There's executive administration. There's end of administration on the transition team. You're part of a team that is there to periodically give the president something that's going to allow him to continue in service. And it's just a periodic dose. It's like the Secret Service needs blood doping and steroids or something. And he needs something that will keep him thinking right. And if he doesn't take it, then we're worried about a coup d'etat or something. And it's basically something that'll keep his brain working, actually give him some extra brain power so he can operate that nuclear weapon system. And every president's been pretty bright since we developed the chemistry to do it. And that 39 in the CIA, the A139, you can A for average at 100, average IQ plus 100, crack back for the 1 or the 2, and you see where you can get the 212, 201, and then you get a 2, and then you get a 2. So 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 2 is 212. You just eliminate the 0. That's how you get the 21 and 2 that cross-references to a social that people don't get at birth, right? But and 555 is a Domino's pizza deal. It's also the 21 bones, and you can bounce them in the Yaleys. And the other thing is the Domino's pizza deal, is the initials is DPD, which is Department of Defense PD or something like that. And you cross-reference that with the Leo thing. That Ford guy, that looks like Howard Buffett, actually. If you look at me, I look a lot more like him than anybody they say I'm related to. That 111, well, on the 4/7 birthday, which is the CIA's birthday, as well as the date they claim I was born on, which is inconsistent with the cover of the magazine in '63 and other information. You 4/7 the AK-47, right? Because a 47, you can reverse inference the AK, the Antonin Kalashnikov, the inventor. And that AK, you can get 111. In other words, the NSA director, Keith Alexander, which would give you KA equals AK. And AK equals 111. You add the social 555 to 111, you get 666. And I'll show you down here, there's a book. That's General Hunton from Stratcom. He's from Alabama. He was at NASA and went to Harvard like me, and there I am at the CIA's credit union. And 45 and 6, I give you the 51 for the executive administration, the end time, some people say. And there's a 47 on 26 is a 21, 73 is 7 times 3 is 21. That'll give you a U2 right there. That doctor is real clear, and the president will write to me and say Dr. Wallace, and you guys would notice that right here, that this is not fake mail or something. This is in Korean because I converted a phone in Korean for that. And that's see the Amazon SEAL Team 666. Over here you get a 45-451-3276. 32 is like a coup blocker. The 451 is the DEA, and it's a program we developed. And the 45 is the POTUS, or you can get the 55515, and the sum of the digits. You can pump enough fives to get 15, 15, and 15. The 555 is 15, and 15 is the next, and then you get another 5, and there's a way you can get 45 out of the numbers, and I do it, and it pumps from the social, but it pumps the president too as well in terms of the numbers. And you get 451 is obviously the DEA, but 451 and 456 is 451. And I don't know if you can see that, but 4, 5, and 6 is 45, and 6 is 51. And crypto analytically, that's the same as 451. Doesn't work for everyone. So 45 and 6 is 51. And use the 4 again. And you can say the factors of 4 twice, 2 by 2. So use it twice. You use the 4 twice. And there's people who don't understand crypto analysis, but that's how that works. It's crypto-wise, right? And then you can see a 100 IQ is a 201, and it points at 201, and then you see the Harvey Point, North Carolina, and it points at 201, and there's the SEAL Team book, 666, Weston Oche or something, and 47 is what? DevGru. Okay, Rangers? And then you see the Numbers TV show, and it ends in RS, which means real smart, and sometimes when you pump that, it will go to DR, right? That the autocorrect on that will doctor. Do you feel numb? And the 3 onto it's CRS, and C is combat swimmers. We have a bridge that erected attraction in Fort Pearson, Florida by KFC. It's 1957 they erected it. Fort Pierce is home of the UDT. You see from the social you can get UDT 21, end with 82, crackback for the 64, reverse it to a 46, right? And that gives you UDT. You can figure that out. It'll give you UTD as well. If you go straight across, which is University of Texas at Dallas, they have no football program, but I did work in the football program, and they call you undercover touchdown, right? You're somebody who handles a briefcase or plans things and inserts them into the computers and stuff. And 1929 they stopped selling coke with cocaine. That was 19S 29C. 19S 29 mod 26 3C stopped coke, and the stocks crashed. It's the same SC, right? The stock market crash. 3 or 4 months later, there was a depression, right? 30 mod 26. 4 months after the October meltdown. It takes a little while for the supply chain and everything to get disrupted enough for a big depression, but there are people jumping out of windows right away. They didn't want to stay in the soup line. And Draper Kaufman starts class at the U.S. Naval Academy. He was the guy who founded the UDT. And 33 is the primordial radionuclides. Need securities. In a sense, we needed a better security program for nuclear materials and the potential that someday we might have nuclear weapons. And he was a pretty bright guy, and he finished. And if you do numbers on that 3319, you'll get classified combat swimmers, right? And 19 start with 3 combat 19 swimmers. There's 3 is the class, World War II UDT. He created it right here in Fort Pierce. Jackson Road, Jackson RX, and the road is near as a Korean Baptist Church in Fort Pierce. It's a RX and a RD, but you could say it's the road there. And the road is what? The RD is the DR is the Kaufman Avenue by the church. Misspelled. This is a media product. If you were going to recruit Marines for counterintelligence, you might need a product like that. If you're going to recruit them for MSG duty in London, you might need a product like that. If you're going to send Marines on vacation in London, you might need a product like that. You want to see if they go for the social media, the Twitter, or do they go to the CO and complain, right? Do they laugh about it, other things that you would consider? Now, this media prize is Canary Wharf bombing. Do you like finance? This is a good one, actually, for the Irish who want to join the Secret Service or something, or CIA. There's a ceasefire. I was in London at the time. Here, you look at those numbers, you do the math, you get the National Nuclear Security Administration backwards, NNSA. There it is, right there. These numbers are real clear. This is the address I lived at. It's 356 East Prima Vista Boulevard. There was a special agent training class that came out. If you look at 356, it's 35 and 6 is 41, right? Some of the digits is 41. I didn't pick the address, but they shot that to me. And it was Mark Sullivan. I had fired him before that. There's my social. Backwards, 6428. It's got the 18 for the arrowheads. I'll show you later how you get the 18s out of the arrowheads. It's a Mensa L-BAT, right? L-BAT is what? And if you 6428 by 1, you get 6428. It's just anything times 1 is the same number. That's a bat. L-BAT is table backwards, which is Mensa in Latin. Right? Makes sense. I'm a math genius, guys. You probably wanted to recognize that. I'll prove it to you. Po motherfucker. This is a Goodwill Hunting, right? And what is Goodwill? All they were saying is some poor kid from Southie. That Goodwill was he shopped at Goodwill, and so you know they make movies. Those little tree structures they use in the movie. All they were saying was I was actually trying to figure out how to represent partial differential equations with tree structures, and it wasn't working out right. But somebody pissed me off, and I moved one around, and it looked like an H. And he said, you need one more of those. And I drew it, and he said, oh, that's Heil Hitler or something. And I said, man, go fuck yourself. And they were working with me, and I was actually real bright, and most of them were just kind of dipshit oriented. But the guy knows that if you move this tree structure around, that you can make an H, because they go like this, and then have a line, and then they go like that and like that. All you do is go like that and like that, and you put the dots all in 4 corners, and that's an H, and they said the H was for the hate. Those are Cerebus. They're on like a nuclear weapons patch at one of the bases up north. There's a U2. You can get that, like I said, from the social. Gunner implosion, sir. There's a National Security Council. Here's the coins. Give me a discount. There's my book. They make the book. They give me any money. It's like figure these things out and steal them from me. And there's do you want to be an MSG in London? You'd probably need to look at some pictures. And a Marine Corps psychiatrist that do that kind of work. I know how to do the same thing. I check psychiatrists all the time. I don't usually check Marines, but I could train them, but I'm not going to train anybody unless they pay me, you know. A list of who's been naughty and who is nice, right? That's Santa Claus. So is you've been in a bar, a jail, a prison fight or something, or you've been a nice, like a Eagle Scout or Girl Scout, and that's how they decide in counterintelligence who should be, an infantryman, an engineer, a news reporter like the combat camera or something, recon, or an even selection for officers. There's some movies I put in there. There's the numbers that give you UTD. They say I was a comet, right? Okay, I'm a comet. But yeah, I was a recruiter on campus, and I went to MIT and I went to Harvard. At Harvard, I was a recruiter at MIT, and I spent a long time getting my MBA because I could go to different campuses. Plus, I went to MIT to take some classes so I could recruit in the classroom at Sloan and in other classrooms around the campus. And there's a recording I sent in. It's NOLES. It's kind of like in the Marine Corps movie Full Metal Jacket. They talk about the duality of man. He's wearing a peace symbol, Joker is, but he's got Born to Kill on his helmet. And the Knowles hat does it. It's no law enforcement and security. The Army calls it LES. But it also means naval officer, law enforcement and security, right? So it's kind of a duality thing. You see the CIA. And duality man, and I can shop at the CIA gift shop through the mail. Employee Activity Association Mail Order Center. Everything is CIA there. Well, they don't actually say it's CIA. They say on the About page that it's a agency gift shop kind of thing or something. But they say other people can go there and shop in Washington. But somebody interfering with my cover would be trying to, press that point that, oh, he could have went to Washington. He may have left town. He may not have permission and left. And there's a lot of spy waves that sound about like that. There's a bunch of stuff there. That's the thing about duality of man. Here's the jury duty. 262403. And sum the digits. You get what? NOC, which is non-official cover of CIA. And the duty is when? On the 22nd of July. 20 is T, 19 is S. And I don't know, GB will give you Green Beret, and 22 is Big Bombs or something. They is making something up. I don't know what they plan on investigating in the courthouse by pulling the Secret Service in there to try to investigate. The courthouse and the locals, they're into involvement. That's how they interfere with protection programs they don't have access to. They have people who just don't give a fuck about what need to know, and they'll order people to go